Boy, are we excited for Borderlands 3, and one of the things that has us extremely excited was the proclamation that there is going to be over 1 billion weapons in the game. And one thing you're definitely going to want to know, it's its brands and what each brand will entail for each individual weapon. So today we're going to dive in deep on each brand and what each brand represents for each individual weapon. This is LaserBolt. Today we're going to be talking about weapon brands in Borderlands 3. Now, for those of you who might be brand new to the series, and for those of you who are pretty much Borderlands fans, we're going to be talking about weapon brands. Some of you that are coming from Borderlands 2, 1 or 2, you guys already know that weapon brands exist in the game. We're going to get some familiar weapon brands that we're going to be talking about. Plus, we'll also get introduced to different type of weapon brands that are going to be part of the Borderlands 3 series. Now, if you're familiar with Borderlands, you know that we have weapons like pistols, machine guns, and other classic stuff that is going to make a return to the game. But with the trailer, we get a different sort of variety of weapons, which seem pretty interesting and radical per se. We get cannons, flamethrowers, wrestle mount weapons, and all to the point, we also get a weapon that spawns firing spews of volcano, plus a gun that grows its own legs and chases down enemies. Tell me if that isn't madness. Now, one thing that separates all these weapons from each individual one of them are its brands, and knowing which brand is what type of weapon is going to determine what type of player you're going to be in Borderlands. Plus, it's also going to determine what weapon you're going to want to pick up when you loot. So you're going to want to know this weapon is this brand. I know this weapon's going to do this. That's why I'm going to pick this weapon. That's why I want to kind of touch on this video to give you guys a better, broader idea of what the brands are and what you could expect of each specific brand type. Now, in Borderlands 3, brand loyalty is priority number one, especially for corporations who vie for control of the Borderlands through military force, their currency, weapons, their trade, death. Now, each manufacturer specializes in a different method of bringing their number one trade, which is death. And we're going to get started with the first one. Maliwang is the first manufacturer we're going to be taking a look at, and this manufacturer has a very different set of arsenal. This arsenal will allow you to toggle between two elements, charge your weapon, and deal guaranteed elemental damage with your fingers glued to the trigger. And I know what you guys are wondering, laser, what are the elemental types currently found in Borderlands 3? So far, we know of the following. We know there's fire, there's cryo, there's corrosive, shock, and the new elemental barrel that was spotted within the trailer. As you guys know, in Borderlands 3, sometimes we're going to need to fight different enemies that are going to require us to have different sorts of elemental damage to be able to take them out more frequently and more effectively. And this is where Maliwang shines. If you're looking for a weapon that has elemental damage, not one, but two elemental damages, then Maliwang is the brand set you're definitely going to want to keep your eye out for. The next brand set we're going to be taking a look at is Atlas. Now, Atlas has a very interesting set of traits. As you guys know, their guns look pretty amazing, as you see right there on the images. So it says, step 1, hit your enemies with tracker tags. Step 2, unleash a hail of smart bullets that track towards your target. Step number 3, loot. So basically, these weapons are going to be doing the damage for you guys. They're going to hit your enemies with tracker tags, and they will unleash a hail of smart bullets that track the enemies towards their target. These weapons are kind of be very interesting to use, and I can't wait to actually get my hands on these. We're currently right now, we're only seeing 3 on screen, but there are multiple other additional weapons that are going to be part of the game, that are going to be part of the Atlas Corporation and or brand set that I'm really looking forward to actually picking up. The next brand set kind of gives me that Western feel, and that is the Jacobs brand. Now, this one, what it says deliver devastating critical hit to enemies, soft and sensitive. Then joy puke as your bullets ricochet towards other targets. So these weapons have a ricochet damage of effect. Basically, if you shoot this weapon either at an enemy or off the wall, it will bounce off and ricochet and either hit an additional enemy or hit an additional set of target. Really interesting weapons. It's going to be quite interesting to see how we're able to how these weapons are viable in the sense of how to use them on certain bosses. We don't really know exactly how the boss mechanics are or how the enemies are in the game as of right now, but we do know that these weapons might become very viable when we get to certain areas where there's probably someone hiding behind a corner or someone in a side that it's going to be very difficult to get, or maybe it will be a very viable weapon when it comes to clearing certain multitude of ads, because those bullets that you're shooting off are ricocheting off of that enemy and then transferring to another enemy. The next weapon brand is called Torque, and it says switch between regular and sticky projectile fire modes. So stickies do more damage if a bunch of them detonate at the same target. So this is kind of like a sticky grenade, but instead of a grenade, you're actually going to be able to decide if you want that weapon to fire a sticky or if you want to just shoot the weapon in a regular mode. So this is a dual firing mode weapon. Not only does it give you the ability of firing at a regular mode, so you're going to be da-da-da-da-da, but you're also going to be able to switch this over and fire stickies. What makes this interesting is the fact that the more stickies that land to a specific enemy, so think about it like maybe you're clearing a boss or a certain area where you got to kill a high value target, you're definitely going to want to switch it over to that sticky mode. And the more stickies that actually hit the target, then the more damage you'll be able to output for that specific target. So very situational, and it seems to be a very effective and viable weapon, especially for bosses or different sorts of high tier enemies. So we're going to see how that plays out and how much damage that actual sticky will do. The next weapon brand is called Hyperion. This one is aim down the sights to take cover behind your weapon mounted shield and keep your fingers on the trigger for increased accuracy. So basically what this weapon will do, it's going to allow you to shoot the weapon regularly if you're hip firing, but once you go and aim down sight, you'll be able to take cover behind this weapon mounted shield and still be able to do that DPS damage. This seems to be a very interesting weapon depending on how we funnel the enemies or how funneled the enemies are in a specific zone. If there's an area where we're going to be receiving a lot of fire and then not too many areas to get cover, this seems to be a very viable weapon due to the fact that it's going to provide that shield mounted, and it's going to allow us to actually still be able to shoot the enemy while we're in that aim down sight mode. So really interesting weapon, and I would definitely love to see how well this weapon fares in different situations within the game. The next brand that we're going to be taking a look at is called Doll. It says toggle between alternative fire modes depending on your playstyle, your predicament, and your predilection for bonus damage. So this is going to allow us to pick what type of weapon firing rate do we want. Do we want fast firing rate, constant fire, or do we want to have something where we're going to be kind of like tapping our trigger where it's a single fire or like a burst weapon? Really interesting because it's also going to be very dependent on what type of situation we have. If you guys come from playing any loot and shooters, you guys know sometimes firing at a rapid pace, it's going to be very situational depending if you have a lot of ad control. And then sometimes dealing that maximum DPS, it's going to be very important, and you're going to want to maybe fire this weapon at a single fire or a 3-round burst. So really interesting, and I like the fact that it gives us the addition to pick which firing mode we want for which specific weapon. The next weapon brand we're going to be taking a look at is called the Bladoff. Now this one says augment these rapid firing ammo hungry guns with underbarrel attachments including tasers, rocket tubes, and additional gun barrels. So this is pretty much a normal weapon, a rapid firing weapon, kind of like your LMGs, your ARs. But in addition to being that, you're going to be able to put an attachment to this weapon, which is going to make the weapon even more OP and more amazing because you're able to put rocket tubes, you're able to include tasers, and any additional other gun barrels. As you see right there, it seems like the LMG on the bottom right looks to seem to have a flamethrower, so it's going to be quite interesting to see how these weapons fare and what type of attachment we're able to put to specific weapons and what attachments go on each different type of weapon type. So I'm pretty excited to see how this is going to play out, and one of the most interesting ones I've seen so far because it's going to allow us to kind of do a lot of damage, a lot of crowd control, plus still containing our maximum, pretty much rapid fire of the weapon. Primarily, all of them seem to be LMGs, so I'm really excited for that. The next weapon brand we're going to be looking at is called TDOR, and this one says toss your gun like a grenade to reload. So it says then watch it pursue a nearby enemy as a fully loaded version, destruction in your hand. So this is a very interesting weapon. Can't wait to go full troll mode with this gun, this particular kind of brand set. Really interesting, and so far what it seems to be like we have some ARs, some burst rifles, It looks like maybe a shotgun in there and in play, and it's going to be quite interesting to see how well this fares. This seems to be a more close quarter type of weapon, and it kind of interesting the way we play with this sort of weapon brand. And I want to see other additional weapons as far from these three that we're seeing on screen on what we could expect out of this brand. The last weapon brand we're going to be taking a look at is called Cove. It says enjoy uninterrupted damage dealing courtesy of infinite ammo magazine, occasionally interrupted by unpredictable overheating. This is going to be your number one weapon when you just want to dish out as much damage, as much as power as you possibly can with infinite ammo, just unlimited until it gun overheats. You'd probably time this, and there's probably going to be some sort of UI that we're going to be able to see when the gun is overheating. Either the barrel will turn red or some sort of feature that's going to let us know that that gun is getting topped up to max heat. So we'll be able to kind of tone it down and rapid fire it again. There's going to be your infinite ammo brand, and one that you should definitely keep an eye out, because this does seem pretty OP depending on what type of weapons we're going to be getting from this brand type. Now, those are all the brands currently right now in Borderlands 3. Let me know, out of all the ones I mentioned, which one stood out to you the most, and which brand do you feel that you're going to be leaning more towards, or what two brands will you be leaning more towards in the comments section down below. In addition to that, guys, if you did find this video helpful and informative, do me the huge favor, guys, drop a like, share this video with your friends, because that does help me out a lot. Expect a lot of Borderlands 3 content, so that's something you guys are definitely interested in. Make sure you guys subscribe and turn on that notification, hit that notification bell so you guys can get notified when Borderlands 3 content goes live on the channel. If you guys have any questions regarding this video or any other things regarding the channel or the video we're talking about, hit me up in the comment section down below, or message me on any of my social medias. The links are down below as well. If you always want to have a fun time, positive vibes, and just chill, relax, maybe even strike up a very interesting conversation, then consider following me over on Twitch. We stream very frequently. The link is down below. Hit us up with that follow so you guys can know exactly when we go live. Thank you guys for tuning in today, and don't forget WGATAP, and I will catch you guys on the next video.